What's up guys? Welcome to Heather's Test Kitchen. Today we are going to be making a simple yeast bread in a toaster oven. So this is going to be interesting. I'm going based off of a recipe that I found on Pinterest. So not a whole lot of backing there in terms of its success, but I'm determined today to make it happen. So we have some warm water that took forever and some dry yeast and some sugar. So the recipe says to sprinkle the yeast and sugar over the warm water and let stand for 5 minutes until foamy. Okay, so we've got our 3/4 cup warm water, which I will measure. Not really. That's 3/4 of a cup. Okay. And then we have 3/4 of a tablespoon, which I spilled a little bit of, so I might add a little bit more in there, but I don't know. That's kind of eyeballing it because I don't have a 1/4 of a whatever. Yeast, active dry yeast, and just some regular sugar. We're gonna add that in there. Wow, it smells bready already. It's probably the yeast. And we're gonna let that sit for 5 minutes, and hopefully we get some foam. Starting to foam. Doesn't look like bread yet, but it will. I mean, it did something. I'm not entirely sure what the foam that's supposed to form on top is supposed to look like exactly. I have no idea what I'm looking at. So like, there's that little circle. Hopefully that's what we're looking for. I have no idea. We might have to try this a few times, but it's okay, guys, because I did get flour at Trader Joe's last week. I'm just not convinced that we have enough foam yet, so we're gonna let it sit for another couple minutes, let it like ruminate a little bit more, because I feel like it should have worked more than it did. Like, we have a little bit of foam on there, as you can see. I'll work on the angles, guys. I don't know what to tell you, but we'll give it a couple more minutes. I don't know if the timing really matters, like if I can wait too long before adding the flour, but at this point it just does not look super foamy. I don't know, guys. Okay, so I'm impatient, so now we're doing this. We're turning in all of the flour in here. So that's 1 cup of this and then another cup of this. The recipe calls for like 3 different kinds of flour, but I felt like almond flour plus regular flour was just excessive, so we're just gonna use white flour, and it might turn out to be different than what we originally planned, but it is what it is. All right, so here we go. We're turning in the 1st cup. I don't know if I'm supposed to mix it like as this goes or what the deal is. It is supposed to be really sticky, and then you like work it as it goes. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea. The yeast situation kind of stresses me out, guys. So we will see. And this is a recipe made for a toaster oven, so it shouldn't. I'm not having anything, which is again probably for the best. Okay, it smells very bready, guys. This is good. Okay, and then after this, we've got we're turning it onto a lightly floured surface, so I'm gonna have to pause you guys to lightly flour the surface of my countertop, because as everyone who watches this, all 5 of you know, I am working with limited space. It's drying up. I don't know if that means anything to anyone. Okay, this is the correct amount. I'm supposed to add the whole bit of flour, but I did realize that I had not added the salt yet, and I'm out of regular table salt. But I learned recently in this episode of a cooking show called Salt, Heat, Flour, something or other, that different salt just adds different flavors to it. So, you know, whatever. The seasoning salt might just make it even more delicious. And it's also obviously going to have different flavors than what it had originally said it was going to have, because this seems like a lot of flour, guys, but whatever. I'm not using like the whole wheat flour or whatever special stuff that it calls for. This is really dry, y'all, and tiny. Well, it's supposed to make a baguette, this recipe that I'm using. It's a baguette, and typically bread you use like a dough hook on like a KitchenAid. But you know, I've watched enough baking shows to know that it can be done without a dough hook. So once it's all kind of combined, I think that's when I'm supposed to flip it over onto a lightly floured flat surface. So please hold. Okay guys, here we go. We are going to lightly flour the surface, and then we're going to knead for 7 to 8 minutes. And you're supposed to also lightly flour your hands, so it's a little bit more than lightly, I feel, but whatever. And this is a very stiff dough, which is what the recipe said it was gonna be, I think. And also, obviously, I have very little experience in kneading. This, you knead like this, kind of. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. You're just like, you're stretching the dough. Son of a bitch. Okay, I need more flour. Okay. Oh, guys, it's very sticky. I have no idea what I'm doing, by the way. I know there's like a system you're supposed to like spin and like hit your knuckles into it or whatever. I have no idea. You're just supposed to keep it moving and keep it, you know, adding gluten, creating gluten. It's stiffening up, so maybe I'm doing something right. So hopefully that means that the yeast is working, right? Okay, so some more flour. And Alexa's got us on a timer. So hopefully I'm not like tearing it, because I know Paul Hollywood has said something about that. It's feeling more doughy as I'm like messing with it. This is fun. It's like adult Play-Doh that turns into deliciousness. Okay, it's like working my arms. Yikes. Okay, still sticky. Wow, it's looking real glutinous, people. It's getting tougher, which is really good, I think. This is what we want it to do, right? It's a dense bread. I don't really know. Also, I don't really know what I'm saying clearly. Whatever. This is just for me. We're in isolation. Who am I gonna give this to? And then I'll get good at it. And by the time I'm out of isolation, I'll like make bread all the time. People would be like, wow, how'd you get so good at this? And I was like, and I'll be like, wow, remember when we were in quarantine? And then after this is done, guys, we're gonna let it sit for like a half an hour. I'm adding flour after I said I was not gonna do that anymore because it was getting dry, but the more I work it, the drier or the less dry it gets. Okay, we're almost done. I did this for 7 minutes and the recipe said 7 to 8, so we're gonna do a couple more swirls. And this is supposed to even get bigger, which is just, I mean, wow. Oh yeah, Paul Hollywood like flips it and spins it. He's the bread king. Clearly I'm not the bread queen. And you don't want to overwork the bread because then it's like, I don't know, too tough. Okay, well, that's probably good enough, huh? We'll learn as we go. Okay, so now we've got our bowl, or I'm sorry, our dough ball. The recipe said that she likes to use olive oil, but I don't have olive oil because I use avocado oil. It's a higher temperature. It's a little bit cheaper, and obviously it lasts longer because olive oil, as every good cook knows, aka I learned like the day before yesterday, olive oil actually expires. And we're gonna set this beautiful ball of dough. I'm gonna name him Henry. We're gonna set Henry in here, and then we're gonna let him prove for 30 minutes or so, and I'm gonna wash my hands, and then we're gonna jump back in. I wish you could have seen me struggle, but I'm a genius, so I wrapped a rubber band around my crappy plastic wrap on this plastic bowl. So, who's shocked that I read the recipe wrong? But it said an hour, not half an hour, so it is growing, so that's promising. Yeah, looks like we're off to a good start. There's the beauty. You can't really see through the steamy saran wrap. It's growing, so that's good. Look at this beaut. Okay, we're trying a different angle. So the directions now say to punch it and then put it diagonally on a large baking tray, but I have a toaster oven, so it's not very large. I might have to cut this in half. This is like ginormous. Okay, I think I want to take it out, punch it, and then shape it, and then we're proving it the rest of the way. Oh my god, this is so light, you guys. Okay, so punch, and then we're forming it into a baguette. This is so oily, yikes me. Okay, yeah, size-wise this is fine. This is definitely not 12 by 12 inches. It's 12 by, I don't know, look how oily, yikes. That's fine. It said to put it into a slightly oiled tray, and this is not really slightly oiled. It's more like moderately oiled. I punched it. I don't really know what the punching does except for like let air escape. Okay, so we're putting this into the toaster oven and letting this proof for another 30 minutes uncovered, it says. Thanks, Alexa. Okay, see you in 30. We've still got some time on our proving, but I just wanted to show you guys because it is ginormous. Okay, so we put it in here for another 30 minutes. It's ginormous and not baguette shaped at all. To preheat, so we're doing bake 450, which is toast level for the record, according to my thing. And normally when I have it this hot for this long, I'm gonna pull this out a little bit so that it doesn't get like the back part super hot. We're gonna cut 3 slashes in this guy. I think I'm gonna put this like it's like everything but the bagel from Trader Joe's, but like the off-brand version of it. 3 slashes. I would move this to a different thing and like maybe let it expand outward a little bit more so it is more baguette shaped, but I have limited options here. Okay guys, also I was supposed to coat this in cold water and I didn't do that. I coated it in basically crumbs instead, so we might get a real crispy flat baguette. I have no idea how this is gonna work. We're putting this guy in here for just like a quick 20 to 25 minutes, it says. Okay, I put the timer on for like 22 minutes or so. So if it's not quite golden brown by that point, I just feel like it's seeping out. It's just gonna go flat. But the yeast is supposed to rise it, right? So hopefully the oil makes it crispy on the bottom. Paul Hollywood always says like no soggy bottoms, so we're gonna try and avoid that. And then I'm supposed to transfer it to a rack. Have you ever met someone with a cooking rack that also just has a wet bar for their kitchen? No. Maybe I'll throw a cutting board in the fridge or something so it's like nice and cold. I don't know. Shape-wise, this is not anything like any baguette I've ever seen in my life, so we'll see. I just wanted to let you know we're like less than 5 minutes in and the pan already popped. Stay tuned. Alright everyone, I just wanted to give an update. We've just got a couple minutes left and it's looking a little crisp. If I was Paul Hollywood, I would not be afraid of biting into this. Okay guys, timer just went off. It looks good and crispy. Does it sound hollow? I don't know, maybe. Okay, so this is a cool thing, so I can touch it. The bread obviously isn't cool, but I wanted you guys to see the bottom looks pretty good. I need to get a knife sharpener, I think, if I've learned anything during quarantine. It looks great. It smells delicious. Okay, it's been approximately 5 seconds. It's been a little bit longer than that. But I really want to try it. Oh, it's crusty, y'all. I mean, it's baked all the way through. Y'all are really missing out. Too bad for the quarantine situation. It's like a ginormous baguette. I could make like biscotti out of these. Guys, I think I just became an artisan bread maker. This is so freaking good. Best quarantine decision yet.